Hi all, if you're listening, I meant to bring my microphone with me to plug in, but it doesn't plug into this camera. So I'll try and shout loud if you can hear what I'm saying. Somebody will tell me. If not, I'll just shut up and fly. So what I was going to do is do a long flight down to Biggin Hill, and then do our London normal flyby, and then plank it back on the ground here at Heathrow. We'll do it nice and slow. I'll probably use a little bit of autopilot just so we can get ourselves nice and stable. But that's the plan. And I'm obviously going to fly it with one hand, with this camera on the other. So here's to go. Right, so checklist is we have done the takeoff monitor. We're happy with the master warning system. We'll take the parking brake to off, and we'll just pull ourselves on the main brakes. We'll just check we've got a little bit of steering, which we do have. That's good. Reheats are armed. Okay, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Multitasking. Just pretend this is the centre of the runway. Here we go. Rotate. Positive rate of climb. And we'll bring the landing gear up. And we'll get the power back off, otherwise we're about to start getting a bit loud. And that's the auto throttle's engaged. So we're going to try and just bring the speed back to a nice 250 knots, and we'll level ourselves off probably in a minute at we'll try for 500 feet. So one of the key things we do when we fly Concorde is we look at this gauge here, which is our incidence gauge. So if we set our pitch to be at the same height as, same pitch level as that there, we'll fly level. So as we're coming up to 5,000 feet, I want to now bring my pitch back to about 4 degrees, and I'll start to fly level, which there we go. There's our vertical speed now coming back to level. A little bit below 5,000, but we're not going to complain about that. And then we'll quick look out the window. Somewhere down there is Bristol. Okay, so one-handedly, I'm going to take us down on a turn to take us down back towards the east, currently facing west. So as we turn Concorde, the wings are not level, and they're not biting into the air in layman's terms as easily. So that means we've got to put a little bit of pull back in the control column just to stop us dropping. So again, we're just nicely holding our 5,000 feet that we got to, coming round nicely on the turn. We're not rushing this today. We're not flying with the red arrows. We're not flying with the Spitfires. We're just doing a nice little gentle turn round. That's us facing due south. You can see due south here coming up on the horizontal situation indicator. And we're on the main attitude indicator. We're on a nice 30-degree bank coming round with a little bit of descent there. We'll just check back to stop that descent. And we're still holding 250 knots on the auto throttles. So if anyone knows the London area, there's all the reservoirs you get round about the Heathrow area, and now we're just going to roll wings level. And that's us now flying due east. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to drop down the nose, which you'll see here, to its down position, and I'll drop the landing gear again, otherwise we just get lots of errors as we fly around air show style. And then what we're going to go and do is going to take you over to Brooklands, so we'll do a low fly past to Brooklands. So I'm just going to bring the speed now back on the auto throttles down to maybe 170 knots. And if I've got my bearings correct, I'm hoping that straight in front of us, where we see that green piece, is Brooklands. A little bit of sightseeing for anybody who knows the area. Well, over there would be Wisley Airfield, and where the McLaren Technical Centre is, and then coming back round, that should be us here heading straight towards Brooklands as it was in the 1950s. It's shouting at me just because I'm going down a little bit too fast, but that's fine. Just now pull back the rate of descent. We were doing 2,000 feet a minute down, which is not going to be good. We're going to get into the ground really quickly if we do that. So we'll do a flyby of the clubhouse. For people who know Brooklands, that's the famous clubhouse from the racing circuit that then became part of the research and development area of the Weybridge Brooklands site, and now it's home to Brooklands Museum, where the Concorde Simulator is. That's a 200 feet decision height. Concorde obviously doesn't know we're not going to land. But there's the museum site flying overhead. So we're just going to climb back up. I'll just squeeze back in a little bit more speed. We'll get ourselves back up to 250 knots. Not a lot to see out the window as we're climbing and noses up, so there's another view of the dash where we are. Speed's coming up nicely to 250 to do a bit of a downwind leg. We're flying currently 10 degrees of pitch, climbing at 2,000 feet per minute on the strip indicator. And we're back up now nicely at 5,000 feet. And what we're going to do is we're going to fly down to Biggin Hill. So I've got Biggin Hill set up on my nav at 111.10. It's telling me I've got 12 miles to run to Biggin Hill. And I'm flying roughly directly to Biggin Hill as far as my HSI indicator is telling me. So we'll just bring our speed now back to 190 knots, just to allow ourselves to fly gently over to the area. So that is Biggin Hill. You see some white scenery redrawing, one of those nuances of Flight Simulator. So obviously the Biggin Hill Airport was obviously one of the famous World War airports for the Battle of Britain, along with many tens and even hundreds, I guess, of airfields around the UK during that time. Obviously now very much focused on private business aviation. And one of the other key things that's based there is the Formula One organisation's main technical and broadcast centre for everything is based there. So their corporate headquarters are in London. They've got a massive facility in Old Hangridge, fully refitted, where they run the entire online and digital operation and their television operation for Formula One. That's fact of the day, people. So we'll do a little turn this way and then we'll just try and fly down the runway without crashing quite fast, so we might not quite make the turn, but we'll give it a good go. And of course, on Biggin Hill is the VOR, so that's the VOR beacon just flying past out of the window at the bottom. So to give us our bearings, if I look out this window here, out the side window, you might be able to make out a bit of London over there. There's the O2. So what we're going to do is we're going to fly down to the Thames, down towards the QE2 bridge. So the bridge is dead ahead. What I'll just do to pop the autopilot on just to take us in that direction. We're pretty good on pitch, so we'll drop pitch hold on as well. So what we've just done there is we put the autopilot on, autopilot 1 on, it's on heading hold mode, so that means it'll be on the heading that we're holding, flying direct, and we're in pitch hold mode as well. So that means the aircraft will hold the pitch that we're actually at for the speed we're at. So if I increase the speed, the aircraft will just want to go up. If we decrease the speed, the aircraft will want to come down. Other things we've got here on the autopilot, we've got some heading information, so we actually could turn this here and tell the aircraft to fly in this heading by pressing track heading. We'll do that in a minute. We've then got over here our auto throttle. So Concorde, because it always flies in the back side of the drag curve, will always use the auto throttles. That was standard operating procedure if they were serviceable, and you couldn't leave without them being serviceable. So we're doing indicated airspeed acquire, and we're asking it to hold 190 knots with auto throttle 1 engaged. Obviously we've got Mach hold, so once we get the other modes for flying it, we can fly with Mach hold up at Mach 2, or if we're flying Mach 0.95 in a cruise configuration, we can basically press a Mach hold and the aircraft would hold the Mach speed rather than the indicated airspeed. So back out of the window, we're just coming close now to the QE2 bridge. I think the scenery looks like it's reminiscent. Very little traffic on the bridge today. So what we'll now do is we'll let the autopilot put us into a turn. So I have selected 330 degrees. We're currently flying at 060, so we're fly heading of 330, so I'll now press track heading, and if we come back, we should see the aircraft automatically. Start to turn ourselves down round onto our heading of 330 degrees. I'm going to continue that turn back towards near enough due west, so I'll just continue turning the heading selector round to a heading of due west, and that'll turn us nicely down towards London. So if I had both hands available to me, I would probably try a touch and go at City Airport, which you can see down at our 1 o'clock with the O2 in front. But I've only got one hand, because I'm too busy holding you and the other, you guys. So what we're doing is we're heading pretty much for the top of the Isle of Dogs. We're going to fly over the Isle of Dogs, which is a great line-up point for our traditional flyby of London, where we go flying through the centre of Tower Bridge. So while we're doing this here, I'm going to turn this selector here. So this is our navigation selector, so I'm going to tune this ready into Heathrow for our landing. 1095. My displays, if I can come down and show you, are now showing me I have 21 miles to London Heathrow. As we're doing flyby, we've still got the nose down, and we've still got the landing gear down. So you can hear it shouting glide slope at me. That's because as far as it thinks, I'm below the glide slope for where I need to be. So what I'll just do is I'll turn that off quietly for the time being. But we know we're ready to go for our approach into Heathrow. So get a bit of sightseeing down there with the trees. If you can imagine that, that would be Greenwich Park, where the observatory is at the very top of the hill, and where the Olympic horse show jumping was. and then we're coming over there. There's Canary Wharf and the Shard. So the Tower Bridge is just over the Shard. So I'm now going to take our auto throttle, our autopilot modes off, which I've just done, and then I'm back completely in manual control of the simulator. I'm not a pilot, so I'm not calling in charge of the aircraft. So again, coming through centre of town, there's the Canary Wharf in the simulator. And then coming back round, we're aiming for Tower Bridge. So what we'll do is we'll go through Tower Bridge, we'll hug the river as closely as we can, and then we'll try and find the Mall and fly down the Mall. Once we fly down the Mall is actually a perfect heading of 240 degrees, which is a great heading to intercept the localizer to land back in Heathrow. So there we go, safely through Tower Bridge. We got to avoid the masts of HMS Belfast. And now gently we'll just start to hug the river round for a gentle turn. Round the river. What we're going to look for is we're going to look for Charing Cross Station, which is just coming round shortly with the 4 lights on top. And the Mall just hides behind Charing Cross Station, coming off Trafalgar Square. There we go, there's the red of the Mall. But we always say if we do this too often, Prince Philip comes out and complains. So I'll put a little bit more power back on, a bit more speed just to give ourselves a little bit of climb. We're going to climb up now towards 2,500 feet. And what we're going to be looking to do now is intercept the localizer to land back at Heathrow. So Heathrow is 11 miles out. We're just got through 1,000 feet, and our ILS and our nav system is tuned now safely to the Heathrow ILS for runway 27 left, which is where we took off from. So that's us 2,500 feet. I'll just push forward in the control column. That's us nice wings level. We're currently 190 knots, which is a nice speed for our approach. I just hear there, if you probably heard, the power starting to come off a little bit, as the aircraft said. I don't need the power anymore for climb. Okay, and I'm pretty much on the glide slope. So the glide slope is here. It's saying I'm pretty much there. And the runway centerline is just coming in. If we look out the window, the runway is just coming around into view. Probably just gone past it because I was talking, but nice and easy to bring ourselves back around. So we're at 2,000 feet. We're nicely into a little bit of a descent. We'll just give the nose a little tad nudge forward. And we're nicely coming back now onto the centre line of the runway from the instruments on the aircraft. So we're just coming up to 1,000 feet, so we're now bringing the speed back to the landing speed of 165 knots. We're right on the centre line. We're a little bit high, but that's fine. Just got a little bit extra descent in there to bring ourselves back on. But we're straight down the middle. And there we go, our pappies, our vazzies, where we are on this side of the world, are saying 2 reds, 2 whites. We are spot on our glide slope. We're descending perfectly at 800 feet per minute. Go straight down the middle, a tad high, but nothing to write home about. Nearly there, coming straight down the middle. That's 50 feet, 40 feet, 30 feet. I'm going to check back the control column. Just going to hold it there. I'm going to take the power off. Power's all off. The aircraft settle. There we go. That was the main wheels I've just touched down. And I've got to land the nose wheel. So I'm going to push forward and just gently ease back so the nose wheel touches down as a second landing. And I'll pull the reverse thrust in. And I'll jump on the toe brakes to bring the aircraft, as a simulator, to a complete stop. And we'll just let ourselves taxi up and we'll get ourselves into a terminal that Concorde never got to, which is obviously Terminal 5 at London Heathrow. One of the little deficiencies in the simulator is it doesn't taxi very well. So quite often we end up going across the grass. But let's see what we can do today. Probably the only aircraft movement today at Heathrow. Obviously Concorde, with the cockpit flight deck sitting 40 feet in front of the nose leg, became a different taxiing experience for the crews. That looks like a nice stand over there for us. Right at the, if people know Heathrow, right at the security gate, which of course Concorde would stop. If you ever watched where it used to come to Terminal 4, it was the closest gate available to security. I think we might have made a little bit of a mess of this one. maybe not. Maybe we got there perfectly. So there we go. Flight round London with Concorde on the simulator here at Brooklands. Remember, once the museum back opens again, once we're past our lockdown, you can come and fly this simulator if you want. brooklandsmuseum.com. All the details are online there. Take care, everybody. Bye bye.